It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington, Andy and Remington Show.
Welcome one and all, it's time for yet another spicy, red-hot, sizzling, tingling, mouth-watering, finger-licking good episode of the Andy and Rem Show, episode number 181. And this time, we have a guest. So if you're currently just containing yourself with excitement over whether Remington's blinds are up or down, and you're playing that particular minigame this week, then hold it in, because we've got even more excitement with the guest from the Aethercast, the world-famous, legendary Kharadron Overlords themed YouTube channel. We have the Admiral himself, Leigh, who you can see as I remove the thumbnail right now. Welcome.
Hello.
You've
Thanks for having me on.
You've cracked the big time. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. First time I've guested on someone else's show. So it's exciting. Glad to be here.
Now, I'm going to have to give the audience a bit of a backstory here. So, I've been watching the Aethercast for a while, because obviously I've been feverishly painting these things, so I thought I should probably get a bit of a head start on what's good and what's terrible, just so I'm not painting 1,000 of everything that's awful currently. And but looking for guests, why not reach out to, maybe you're not kind of the same level of celebrity as this show, you haven't cracked the A-list just yet, but why not extend the branch and shine a bit of a light onto this dark, dim, bearded corner of the internet? So, sent you a message, and then, wait a minute, I've got a message history with this guy. What's this? Scroll up. And yes, you purchased some of my original Kharadron Overlords collection a few years ago.
Yeah, some Endromigers, I think it was.
And he wants his money back.
No, he's not the same guy who paid £145 for 10 illegally equipped Thunderers. Totally different person, this one. So, obviously, that sparked your voyage into Age of Sigmar, I imagine, that small purchase. So, in a way, we spawned the Aethercast, I think you can agree. Is that fair?
Yeah, probably. You know, that was one of my first kits I probably bought. Might have had one or two before, I'm not sure. But, yeah. And actually, another claim for that same sort of thing is one of the first Warhammer shows I ever watched was probably yours. Because I think you posted it on the Facebook group, you know, the Big Age of Sigmar one. I thought, oh, didn't know people did YouTube shows for Warhammer. I'll have a look. And yeah.
And what was your first impression, Lee? Did you never go back?
I just remember you talking about dusting a lot, and I didn't.
That was a great episode.
I didn't get the joke because I didn't know what dry brushing was because I was new. So I was like, actually, this is a great idea.
No, that was no joke. That was real, man. That was real. I've still got. No, I sold that miniature actually.
So,
no, I did a video on that. So Lee, welcome to the show, by the way. Welcome to the show. Andy rudely has not introduced me whatsoever. So from the outset, you know, we've got off to a bad start.
It was an anecdote that went out of control. It spiraled before we got to you.
But so look, do you know what? You must be the first actual expert Warhammer player we've ever had on this show. Because
no
you know, I'm reaching for the stars. Andy's sort of up there, I guess. You know, every now and again, I take a pop shot and roll a 6, and he'll come tumbling down. But you're actually, you know, you're a tournament expert at the right.
I wouldn't say expert.
Well, for the purpose of the show, you are, and we're going to test your expertise as the show progresses. I've got some games for you later. What got you into the? Were you into dwarves first, or Duardin, or did you just
It was the
fly
beards, wasn't
straight
it?
to the
It was the
straight to the
guns.
dwarves?
It was the guns. I was skeptical of AOS in general at first because it looked very expensive, and it is. But yeah, and I went in and as I looking at all the different models in the shop, and it was between them and Iron Jaws because they look quite cool. And then I thought, well, these guys have got guns. And you know that scene in Indiana Jones? I can't remember which one it is, but where the guy does all the stuff with the swords and then he just shoots him. Yeah, that's what I thought I was going to do in my games, which actually is how it plays out a little bit, and people don't like it. It turns out, but people don't like getting shot apparently. But
Yeah, Rem isn't a big fan of having his things shot off. Is that fair, Mr. Remington? Not your biggest.
I tend to like armies that just push forward and fight. Right, Andy likes to stay back, heavily armored, and shoot as much down as possible.
If it was up to Rem, then we wouldn't have tape measures. We'd just have a broom each and just sweep the models into the middle of the table, and last one standing wins. That's about your tactical level, isn't it? So we're going to hope to boost that with these elite tournament guests.
It's fantastic. So, if you've been in it from the start, so do you have every model in the faction?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I do. I don't have them all built because I haven't built Dagnay Holdenstock. The guy from Curse City. I haven't.
Yes.
I haven't built him.
I've built him. I've not painted him though. So there you go. But so you've got at your command, you have every possible selection to take to a tournament.
Not every possible selection because I don't have multiples of everything. I've now just got my second Ironclad, so I will be building that soon. And
you see, you're my kind of guy, Leigh, because anyone that says I've got multiples, it's obviously a spammer. Which is what Andy is actually. He'll look at a list and go, "What if I take 100 of those things that then can kill you with a roll of a 2?"
I feel that is incredibly harsh. I only have the 3 ballistas.
So I think you, Leigh, you're obviously a man of my own, after my own heart. There, you like to have a bit of everything. You know what I mean? It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I could be accused of spamming some things in the past. I mean, I did play 40 Arcanauts with Skyhooks at one point. But yeah, I mean, that's just what you do a bit. I mean, I like to still have some variety in lists. Can't have all of the same thing.
I think the best thing to do is you start off with a bit of everything, you play a few games, you see what's good, and then you just sprinkle a bit more of that in. Or you go for the Remington style, which is get a little bit of everything, play a few games, get destroyed, forget the rules, quit playing for 2 years, start a different army instead.
What do you think of that tactic, Leigh?
I think it sounds expensive. I stick to one army because it's cheaper.
I have about 12 armies.
Yeah, but that sounds like everyone I know. Like everyone else has loads of armies, and I'm like the only person that I know of that just sticks to one thing.
You've stayed pure.
Except at the tournament I just went to, there was a Beast of Chaos player there, and well, yeah, that's his only army.
So that's a rarity, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, just Beast of Chaos in general. And yeah, people sticking to one army seems quite rare, from what I can tell.
I've got you. How do you resist the sweet shop syndrome? Right? You're going to there's every bloody week. There's this new thing and that new thing, and obviously you're keeping up to date with stuff. I mean, how do you keep in your lane?
I convert stuff. So, like at the moment, I'm built and painting this guy, and if I can actually figure out my right from my left.
Is that from Mortal Realms?
No, that's the Celestial Prime, but
yes,
with Brock Grunson's body,
wow,
and head, and some 40k bits.
I only say that because it came free in the last edition of Mortal Realms that come out a couple of weeks ago. So I was just wondering
what was free.
Celestial Prime.
Well, it wasn't free, but Mortal Realms was the magazine that they've done for the last couple of years, where it's £8 a week and you get models in there.
Yeah.
And the last model.
They gave a £50 model away. What?
Well, it was £8.
Did
But
they
yeah.
have his bits spread over multiple issues, didn't they?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just bought the kit. Well, I say I bought the kit. I got the kit for my birthday.
Okay, sweet man. So your answer is that you don't stop. You don't just stop buying stuff, but you just get creative.
Yeah, and if I convert it to be Kharadron Overlords Fiend, then it's less of a transition drug. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what they do. They get you to get allies and stuff. So then you're like, well, I've already got some Stormcast. I might as well build an army. Or I've already got a mercenary gatebreaker. So I might as well start Sons of Behemoth. But if you convert it, then if you've got to do a whole converted army of it, or it just won't fit, will it?
So
Does-
you are a pure breed. You are a pure beard, a pure beard, even pure
Yes.
beard.
It does seem like they're trying to funnel everyone towards the Stormcast, doesn't it? Because all the other factions are so limited that you're tempted with those allies, like you were saying, and then once you've had a taste of that golden heavenly lightning.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a Stormcast. They just want to funnel you from one army to the next. They don't care which one it is as long as you buy more stuff.
Like, why not hire in a Gargant into your list?
Yeah.
Well, all you have to do is buy a couple more, and then you can just field them as an army. I stop
Yeah,
at one.
exactly. Exactly. That's it. And that's the same thing with the war bands or Underworlds. You buy them. You're like, oh, these models are quite fun to paint.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a unit, and then Warcry. You buy a couple of things because then you can expand them. Can't you? Use one or two guys from one thing, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, I've got like nearly 1,000 points. So
I believe it was.
I'm on to them. I
believe
know
it was-
I know their tricks.
I think it was White Dwarf that got me when Age of Sigmar first came out, and they gave away a Stormcast model with the White Dwarf. And I thought, I'll just paint one of them, see how it is. Actually, this is fun. I could go in on this, and then a few months later, a large army has appeared. Because we were fully on board with the idea of just sticking with our old armies and just using the old square-based masses in Age of Sigmar. But then you see all the new models, and just like towering over the defeated bodies of all these old world armies, and you can't help but jump on board, can you?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, once you've got a couple of models or something, it's very easy to expand, isn't it?
So,
Yeah,
Did you get the Underworlds squad of
for KO.
Yes. What do you think of them then? Did you field them?
I haven't used them in Underworlds. I've never played. I think
No,
I played
but-
Underworlds once.
Can you use them in AOS?
You can. I don't think I ever have. No, I haven't ever used them as themselves. I used the model for Fundrick as a normal chemist because he's quite cool. And I use.
But they do have rules for AOS, don't they? Because I've used I used Morgwith's once for my
they're such a nightmare, though.
my witch elves.
5 models, each with their own different rules in a unit. It's very shoehorned, if you ask me. It doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, no, they didn't really serve a function for you in that capacity then.
No, I think they are, from Games Workshop's perspective, it's like we give you a war score so you can use them, but we're not going to bother making it good
I got you.
or great because it's just so you can, so no one moans that you can't. And again, it's just another gateway thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Buy the war brand and.
So you've built up this. I'm assuming it's quite a large army now, right? How many points would you say you can field?
I don't know actually. It's not that big because I'm a slow hobbyist. I'll go for ages without doing anything, and then I'll spend like a mad couple of weeks painting something, and then I'll just not do anything for a month again. It took me 2.5 years to paint my Ironclad because it sat on the shelf for a long time.
Wow.
I think we've all been there, though, haven't we? There's
Yeah.
a model that's just intimidating to start painting it. It sits there for years. I had that with a Mortis engine once. It took me a very long time to get around to.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got a fairly big army now.
3,000 points.
Yeah, at least probably. It depends if you count the things that are in boxes.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
It depends if the
Does it
plastic's
count?
been taken off yet.
Yeah.
That's when it counts as part of the army, when the plastic's off. Because you can't just put it on eBay and get retail price for it anymore.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've got so many questions for you. I mean, but should we do the news first? Is there any?
I suppose we should just whiz through all the various pages on the Warhammer community and see what's new and spicy at the moment. So, grab your giant sword and leather belts. Warcry has a new Marauder in town. What? A Chaos model? I've never seen one of those before. But look, there he is. He's chaotic.
Wow.
Holding
Good.
3 heads. Pretty cool.
I like him because they're elf heads, and he's killed elves.
That is true. And look how shocked they are. Oh, that one, not so much, actually. He's like, yeah, I told you this was going to happen, guys. But those two are shocked. That one at the bottom is like the shocked Pikachu meme.
Well, I think they ought to be embarrassed, really, that a lower life form has taken their lives just like that. You know, a barbarian. Has he got a shark on his shoulder? What's that?
It looks
That
like some kind
mouth?
of jaw, doesn't it?
Could it be like a crocodile mouth from like the Cool Boys?
That'd be cool.
Be. But, oh, we've got some more at the detail here. So, yeah, it's a big skull of some kind.
Yeah, it's a great model, man. I'm going into sweet shop mode already.
Going up against this spider person that we saw last week.
Yeah, now the spider person, I don't know about you, Leigh, if you've seen that. I weren't into the spider guy so much. I like the barbarian better.
The barbarian's cooler. I think the spider one's a bit. There's too much going on.
I was about to say
Like
it looks a bit over-designed to me. There's a lot, but the theme could be more spidery, if you ask me. I don't see why they haven't just gone full-on spider-human hybrid. It's only got 6 limbs for a start.
Yeah, that makes him he's an insect, surely. If he's only got 6 appendages.
You would think.
Well, maybe they're going for an insect clan, but I thought they were going to rework the Gloom spider faction, because that's really old, man. So when they mentioned all the spider stuff, I thought they were going to do some new spider riders and whatnot, but instead we got Facehugger from Alien.
He does also look a bit like Predator. The Predator's face a bit.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
It does a little bit. To me, it's not that cohesive. Like the mask and the pose, the cloak, all this stuff going on above its head. Each piece of it doesn't necessarily look like it should be tied together. It looks like a Photoshop job, maybe.
Yeah, especially the head. It almost looks like someone's took the head from another model and chucked it on.
Could just be the colours they've used.
Yeah.
Okay,
it
next.
Might start working better once you see other models from that warband, right?
Yeah, sometimes the angles as well. The angles don't always do the models justice.
Next, very brief look at Blood Bowl. There's a Croxigor in there now, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's big and it's scary.
Yeah, speaking of angles not doing the models justice, at first glance he looks like he's got one arm.
Yeah, it looks like he's just got
his back.
Yeah, that is really weird. And there's one hand like coming directly out of the rib cage, and this hand is that like is that a scale, or is that some kind of nipplage going on there? Yeah, it's a really weird angle for a picture.
Now, Croxigors, they are old models, man. Yeah, I mean, whenever you see them do it for Blood Bowl, it basically means they're not going to do it for Age of Sigmar, for me. Like when they did the Halfling Blood Bowl team. You know what I'm saying? It's like
they're teasing you, really, isn't it?
Oh, they're testing out things, for the modelling and the design team and stuff. Even though they're keeping people happy. Like, there's one guy in the studio, I really want to design some Seraphon.
Yeah.
Still team then, fine.
Or some new Empire guys, so do them as Blood Bowl instead.
Maybe if they'd sold 1 billion Halfling Blood Bowl teams, then we'd be seeing Halflings all over their other game systems already. So maybe it was a test that we as a community failed. We didn't buy enough Halflings.
Yeah, I mean, they must be testing the water a little bit on whether things sell.
I got
Speaking
you.
of things that sell, how about this? It's a soft, cuddly squig. Christmas themed. Would you want this in your stocking?
That's the only Warhammer toy. No disrespect, Lee, because I can see there on your shelf that you've got some behind you, right? I've got a Prince one actually over there. But in terms of Warhammer toys that aren't models, this is the first one I've seen that I'm like, yeah, I'd like that for Christmas. A squig that I can shove in my dog's mouth.
I think his teeth
Yeah,
look a bit too clean.
Yeah, maybe he should have some like grimy bits. You know, obviously not real grime, but maybe
I'm sure there will be real
average.
grime on most of them a few days after Christmas.
Probably. Yeah, it's not something I would really be interested in a plush of any sort really. Though if it was a Kharadron Overlords one, it would probably tempt me.
What if you could take off the solid helmet and it was a soft, plushy, cuddly beard underneath? I think that'd tempt a few people.
Would be good. That's
They
a
could
good
do a
idea.
Go-Trek.
Good
They
idea.
could do a plush Go-Trek. I reckon people would buy that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, a great idea.
Yeah, that's why I work in marketing.
Yeah, and he's so soft and cuddly that if after he's cuddled you, if there's still a human in need of a cuddle within 3 inches, then he can cuddle again.
I tried to cuddle Andy once. It was really awkward.
You learned your lesson anyway, didn't you?
So yeah, speaking of Godtrek, did you get Godtrek, or is that just a step too far?
He was the most recent model I painted.
Wow.
I wanted to get him ages ago. I think I went to Warhammer Fest or Warhammer Day, whatever it is that they do at Warhammer World, and I was going to get it then, and they'd sold out like 2 years ago, you know, pre-COVID. I managed to get him recently, and I did him, and then I did, you know, Jacob Bugmanson.
Yep.
The Christmas model. I got an extra one of them.
Nice.
And so I did a conversion, and I've magnetized the heads, so I can swap them. So I can, when I'm playing with KO, I can use the Jacob Bugmanson version, Go-Trek's head, and then if I do ever start a new army, I have Go-Trek as like normal Go-Trek.
But that's like a good start to a new army, isn't it? That's like a quarter of the points, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's not. I got Godtrek too. I've put him together, but I've not painted him yet. So, but yeah, awesome figure.
But you also didn't know how disgusting his rules were when you bought him, did you, Mr. Remington? As we found out last week when we went through his war scroll, comparing it to some of the Stormcast models that you were claiming were horribly overpowered, we then went through Godtrek, and you changed your tune a little bit.
I couldn't stop laughing really because it was just like some of these new Stormcast just ridiculous with the normal saving throws, like just they're so hard to kill. All these silly extra rules that they get. That
Dropping mortal wounds on you just from wherever, whenever they feel like. When you kill them, they explode on you.
Yeah, it's just got a bit annoying. And then, because, you know, Andy was reading out the latest Stormcast overpowered model. And then I actually just thought, well, what if we just have a battle where it's Go-Trek against every new Stormcast hero? And we looked at the stats, and it's like, I think Go-Trek would probably win still. So that brought a big smile to my face.
Yeah, probably.
You'd definitely be in with a chance, because a lot of them rely on multi-damage attacks, don't they? Which are obviously not that juicy against him.
Have you ever had to field Go-Trek in your army?
I've not tried them yet because I don't like playing with stuff I haven't painted. Painted, so I don't.
We don't do that.
And I've only done him recently, so I haven't tried him out yet. But he's awkward with KO because he's so slow. But I think you can do some stuff with him.
Can you put him in a skyship?
No, you can't. If you could, that'd be overpowered.
Right.
But
it would be hilarious though.
Because like you could just play Varric Zilfin, you teleport in the hero phase, then move to 3 inches away, and then charge with Go-Trek inside the ship, You do mortal wounds on the charge with the battle ram, and then go trick would kill everything else.
What about if you could upgrade him to wearing one of the dirigible suits?
Oh, that would be cool. That would be a cool conversion as well.
It would be
Yeah.
So
cool
you just said
until...
a load of things that just went right over my head there because I don't play Kharadron Overlords. So we might break that down later.
Okay.
We'll break it down after the first game I have with them against you. Just destroyed you, and you're saying, what? You can just teleport wherever you want, whenever you like. What?
Yeah, after you've done it, after the fact.
Yes. Now, you may have noticed that there's a bit of a juicy fellow appeared on the screen here. Mr. Bastian Carthalos, the new Stormcast right-hand man of Sigmar, with a hammer more powerful than the Celestant Prime. And I can exclusively reveal that I used I partially paid for this model with my Warhammer Plus subscription voucher. So this will be arriving in my hands shortly.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah, I used my £10 voucher to buy this beast skewer that I'm just painting today. Can't really see that, but that's going to be finding its way in, penetrating the heart of your heroes there, Andy.
It's got Stardrake written all over it, hasn't it?
Now that.
Could you? I mean, how big is? Could you actually paint a name onto the like tip of the spear thing that it chucks out?
Oh, I love doing stuff like that. I'm glad
Or
you
is it
brought
too
that
small?
up.
Is it too small?
It is quite small, but I could put a little flag on it and say, you know.
What if I give my Stardrake a name and it's just a really short name, so you can actually fit it on the tip?
Yeah, like John.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started playing Warhammer, you know, every unit, you know, it would have a standard bearer, right? Or you could get a standard bearer for it, and we used to write messages on the standard bearers against the people who were fighting. So, you know, one of my friends, you know, I'd put "Time to Die" Neville on it, you know, with a big skull, and then just a crap drawing of his head on it.
Or Neville.
And, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That sounds pretty cool.
Most of the standards, they're not flat anymore, though, are they? They have like the designs sculpted on them.
It's to make it easier for people like me that just want to dry brush stuff.
Yes.
Pick out some highlights. Freehanding sounds like it's scary.
I'm sure Neville was pleased when they changed their banner design ethos, though, because he no longer had to witness threats to his life from across the table in text form.
No, my brother actually took one, and one of my friends had red hair, and he was saying "Time to Die, Ginger Boy" on it, or something really horrible. That was quite embarrassing.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Time to Die, other things that have been put up for pre-order: Annihilators with double-handed hammers. They don't need those shields.
So, are they actually a different kit then? And it's not like a kit that can just be built into two different versions.
I haven't checked exactly, but I'm pretty sure the kit can be built into both. I'd be shocked and appalled if it can't, but I haven't actually checked.
Were the ones in Dominion like? Because were they in Dominion?
Yes.
Annihilators. So were they push fit ones then?
Yes.
Couldn't be built two.
But some of the other kits are just individual releases of the Dominion kits, which I found weird. Like the Vindictors don't have like a multi-part kit with all different options. It's just the Dominion kit, which you should still be able to find cheaply. Last I saw, it was still available in some places.
Yeah, my local store still got it.
Yeah, so anyone who wants a load of Annihilators with shields, is a really easy way to do that rather than buying it that everyone's going to build into these mega hammers anyway. That have just got like Remington Slayer written on. That's it. It's kind of like an R, that, isn't it? That one. What else? There's also these guys. I'm not a fan of these ones. Stormcast with big swords.
I kind of like them. They look kind of sleek. Yeah, Leigh, don't you agree? It's nice to see Stormcasters with proper faces as well as the helmet, right?
It is, yeah, it's better. The helmets are a bit lifeless. Although, I can't complain because I play a whole army of stuff with helmets, so
Mm.
But the one thing about this kit is the flag is very flat. It's not very realistic, does it?
It's quite weird, actually, that. Yeah, I'm not
It's
sure
like a
what's
face
going on.
of a Greek god on it, isn't it? Like a Zeus.
I've assumed that's going to be Sigma. But
Right.
I like the one just to the right of the flag. The head on that one with the hair all going out behind it's pretty cool.
Most of the Bear Stormcast heads are pretty cool. I think the issue with the helmets is that when they first came out, everything had a helmet, and they don't have the same kind of personality that you get with a helmet that has a beard sculpted into it, for example.
Yeah, I mean, a beard on a helmet just makes it better, doesn't it? So, and the
Yeah, now,
moustache.
maybe talking of beards and helmets and Kharadron, maybe you could quickly answer, a debate we've had. Is the beard on Kharadron Overlords, is it metal armor over the beard, or is it a beard, or either?
I think it's metal armor over the beard, or like they tuck their beard just into the kit, and then they have a metal bit on the helmet just to symbolise.
But to stop the beards getting singed, I suppose, or burnt off.
It's like
Bit
it's like the beard equivalent of a cod piece, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of get you, but I mean, I think it's the beard that give the characters. I mean, have you seen any Kharadron Overlord players that paint the beards as beards? Does that work?
No, because
silly.
they look too like I don't know, like
Sculpted.
uniform and chunky. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I've seen those people do head swaps. People get like long beard heads and
Or Fire Slayer
Yeah,
heads.
how does that look? Does that look all right?
yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I've seen some really nice ones with the Ironbreaker heads.
Yeah,
They look very cool.
very cool.
We've got some comments on the beards here, actually. So Max says, KO have very short beards. Do we know that for a fact? We've seen artwork where you saw the backs of them. Have we actually seen the fronts of lots of them to have a fair sample size there?
I'm not sure we've seen artwork of the fronts of faces, but there's some novels, and I'm not sure they really mention the length of the beards. But there's quite a bit in the novels as well where they write it as if they're looking at people's faces and talking to each other as if they're not wearing helmets. Like it says things like they saw the glint in someone's eye. Like we can't. How did you see that with a helmet? But that's why they're like out on the deck of the ship up in the air where they would be wearing the helmets. And there's people that can like moaned about that, saying it doesn't match the law, or that the law is incorrect.
You know what you could do?
Speaking of,
if you want to start a movement to convince everyone that the KO have very, very long flowing beards, start converting your models. So like round about the foot area where the boot joins, just have little tufts of hair poking out there to suggest the beard runs all the way down to ground level. That's how to get a movement going.
speaking of lore, though, are you into the lore of the Kharadron Overlords? Are you quite fluent with it?
A little bit. Like I've read everything except for maybe one of the stories, one of the short stories.
Well, do you think you could fill in a little gap for us? So Warhammer 8th edition finished with the end times, and everyone was destroyed. And how did the Kharadron Overlords come to be?
Well, they were being attacked in one of the last Dwarden heaps, and they discovered how to use the breath of Grungy to power airships. That they had already been working on this technology, and they discovered how they could use it while these siege was like raging, and they used it to power their airships, and they went up into the skies with gyrocopters and some of their new technology, and then they sort of like clamped all the ships together for protection up in the sky, and that's how they formed. That's where the Kharadron Code comes from, because they had to basically make a load of laws to stop each other, like just fighting for resources and that, food and stuff to survive.
Oh, so they started a civilization in the sky.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
They were basically refugees.
Yeah.
And it was actually revealed in the White Dwarf short stories recently that Grungy, or no, not Grumbindle was there, and he watched them take to the skies, like escaping from the forces of chaos, and he was happy because he had seen them make a technology that he hadn't taught them, and he was really proud of them. It was like a fatherly moment.
I've got you. But now they've become a completely separate thing to Duardin from the old world, right? And the Fire Slayers, they're completely their own thing.
Yeah, they do interact with them a bit, but yeah, they're completely separate because they just. I mean, it's been generations, and dwarves live a long time anyway. But so when it's generations for dwarves, it's a very long time.
Yeah.
I want to know, what do they, if they keep their beards short and trim, what do they do with the clippings? Do they just kind of fling them into the wind, and there's a town below that's constantly raining beard trimmings?
No, I don't. There's not much on like what they do for food and stuff. I assume they trade a lot for food, but I don't know what they do with all of their waste. I mean, because it's not just beard waste, is it? There's going to be a lot of waste from all those Duardin. They drink a lot of beer, and yeah, I imagine they eat very dodgy food, very like a lot of meat and yeah.
I've got birds. Probably they probably go bird hunting in the skies. So what do you know? The dwarves of old had the Book of Grudges, right? And they'd never forget any wrongs put against them, right? You mentioned this code thing. Is that the thing that the Arcanauts have?
Yeah, they have the code is like their laws. They have grudges as well. They will bear grudges for a long time against people. But yeah, the Kharadron Code is just basically like a big legal document that they wrote. It's a bit like the Pirate Code.
My next question was going to be, what's the difference between a pirate and an Arcanaut then? Is there not much different? Are they a mercenary society?
They're like a meritocratic society. They're like, I'd imagine any pirates are ones that Arcanauts that have fallen into disrepute or didn't actually make the muster press to become a proper Arcanaut, and so they sort of went off and did things on their own.
Got an eye patch.
Yeah, got an eye patch. And
what's a muster press? That sounded quite fun. What's that? Is that
It's the thing where they go to the Arcanaut academies, and then they have muster presses, which are basically like these competitions or tournaments, like where they have to prove their worth to show, like, oh, like this is what I learned in my training. Like, I don't know whether it's like shooting at targets or having fights or sparring or something, but if you fail, if you don't get picked up in free, like basically like captains and admirals and stuff will go to the muster presses and they go, oh, I like the look of that guy, I'll hire him. Like, he's pretty good. And if you go to, if an Arcanaut, like a trainee Arcanaut, goes to three muster presses and doesn't get picked up in any of them, then that's it. Then can't be an Arcanaut anymore.
Oh, I see. So it's like in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about the NFL, but it's like going and like the scouts will be there for the sports team and like sign them up, and if you don't get signed up, then you just have to go and work at McDonald's or something, or whatever you do. If you don't get signed up for a sports team, it's like the Arcanauts go and become dock workers or work in a pub or something,
or become Fire Slayers.
I got you. Is it a male-dominated society?
Well, there are because there's in one of the stories, one of the main characters is female. There's quite a few female characters in there, so because it's all based on merit, like there's female admirals, and they all sort of, it's just whether you're any good or not. So yeah, it wouldn't be uncommon for like a female Duardin to be bossing around like male Duardin if she's proved her worth.
And is there something like a royal family, or is there like a pirate king, or a chief?
No, there's not royalty. There's basically rich people. So there's like the Elon Musks Jeff Bezoses of the Duardin, the ones that have built massive conglomerates of businesses and basically just live off the shares and invest in voyages and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like ultra capitalist.
Nice. Sounds like me.
Now, a quick
All right,
quick aside here, but I've had these on the screen for a while because there are some dice that they've released, which of course means that it's time for, as I cue up the audio here, it's time for Dice Watch. That's right, it's time for Dice Watch. Are these dice any good? Middle-earth dice, and I think people who've seen Dice Watch before will know that I'm going to have few negative thoughts on these designs. They do get cool points. If you look at the symbols, which are presumably the 6s, helmets, pretty cool. But can you imagine trying to read the numbers on these dice when you've rolled them on the table?
Just transparent dice I'm not a fan of, generally speaking, because they're normally awkward.
Just transport yourself into an alternative universe where you've just spent a load of money on these dice. You've rolled them, trying to read the numbers. Rage ensues.
I love them, man. They look like pieces of art that have been, captured in a cube.
It's captured in an unreadable cube, yes.
Like in Superman 2, where the 3 baddies are put into those prisms, and they're kind of like,
The ones on the left are better, I think. They're a bit more easier to read by the looks of it. The see-through ones, they don't. Well, I mean, they're both see-through, but the ones on the right are more see-through, aren't they? They haven't got less colour to them. So it's.
Yeah, I might just buy them to annoy Andy. How about that?
Well, they definitely get a thumbs down from me anyway. There's some more stuff that we don't care about because it's 40k. Space Marine Chibi Advent Calendar. This has got Remington written all over it, definitely, hasn't it?
No, thank you.
Do you not want one of these for Christmas?
Well, no, what do I do with those?
I'm missing a trick on Advent calendars, so surely. I was thinking the other day, a Warhammer Advent calendar would be cool, but not one with not Warhammer in it.
You know what would have been really funny, though? It would have been really funny if instead of them actually being Chibis, they were just the, what do they call them, firstborn Space Marines, not the Primaris ones, as a joke.
Yeah,
the world is nothing.
I don't even know what a Chibi is.
They have big heads, big hands, cartoon style, cute little things, allegedly. Anyway, we've got some pictures of Remington's paintwork. Everyone looks forward to this segment so they can see me zoom in on it to give it unfair levels of scrutiny. So what's this thing here?
Leigh, what do you think of that? That scum Drek, the boss of the Crawl Boys.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. Look, Andy's gonna just zoom in to make it look as bad as he can.
He's gonna find He's gonna find the worst bit.
I'm gonna find the stray hair that's sticking out of the paint job here. Let's see. Oh, I think I found it on the end of the tooth there. That looks like a tiny little hair.
No, actually, what that is a high-strength contact adhesive from Wix, and it made slobber come out of his mouth. But I accidentally picked it up and then destroyed that strand of glue that made it look like he was drooling. You might be able to see it on some other pictures, but it was an experiment that kind of failed. Look, Wayne Caitlin, you're such a good man. Thank you. It looks good zoomed in. Rem is a really good painter. So another fail, Andy.
I don't know why you're under the impression that my sole motivation for zooming in on your paint jobs is to try and show you up somehow.
I think it looks really cool. I like the base as well.
Yeah, it's just a hodgepodge. It's not planned. I just shove loads of different bits and bobs off on
that's
it.
How basing works, isn't it? That's how you do basing. If you're planning your basing too much, then you're going. Yeah.
Shove more stuff on it until it looks good. Good advice.
Well,
for life.
where I'm at now, I've got about. I'm just honing in on 1,500 points worth of Crawl Boys now painted. My favourite one is the troll guy on the left there. Love him.
Nice
and
amount of
actually
orange on that one.
easiest one to paint as well. And if you look at their clubs there, Andy, I took Sean from Blue Table Painting his advice and put some rust on the club.
Oh yeah,
And there you go. See,
it does look better now. Actually, it looks clear. You can see the distinction between the wood and the metal on there.
yeah. So, how do you think your Arcanauts will fare against these Crawl Boys? Are you quaking?
I don't know, because they got a fair bit of shooting themselves, haven't they?
I know.
Them Bolt Boys are deadly.
And just so you know, Leigh, I am a dwarf lover myself. I've got an old school dwarf army, so this is the last. I bought this on the show just to just because I thought you might appreciate it.
That's cool. I like that. I haven't got any gyrocopters myself. I think I'll have to get some at some point because I mean they're flying dwarfs, so they're honorary KO.
Does it feel a bit primitive to have a gyrocopter though in an Arcanaut army? Isn't it like old technology?
Well, it is, but it's like having a classic car, isn't it? It's fine. Like, I mean, in a few years we'll all be driving around in electric cars, and then it'll be like, no, that'd be cool to have like a hybrid or something. I don't know.
I think it'd be like being like a member of the horse cavalry unit in World War II, I imagine.
Right. Got you.
No, I like the gyrocopter models. They're pretty cool.
Nice. Well, this is the gyro bomber because I looked at the stats. I thought this could do more damage to Andy's hordes cowering at the back of the table.
Hordes? When do I field hordes?
Sorry, I meant boards. Give the pun there. But yeah, I'm slowly working my way through the dwarves, and then nearly finishing off the Crawl Boys. So yeah, I mean, is it time to play a little game?
I think it's time. We've got a couple of little games to play actually. First of all, we've got everyone's favourite What the Hell Is That? So, I'm going to play the What the Hell Is That intro video right now. So everyone, prepare your senses, get those eyeballs ready, and get your fingers ready to type the answer, because it's going to be a race against not only the clock, but also your fellow human.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it a chaos dwarf or a vampire bear? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Is it Sigmar's speed or Marauder's hat? Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, what the hell is that? Is it a mangled squig or a sorcerer's rat? Only Andy and Remington, Andy and Remy, Andy and Remington know. There you go.
And
Great.
we are
Let's
back.
do it.
So, here we go. Get ready. The first one to type in the name of this model into the chat wins. It's going to be very, very zoomed in, slowly zooming out. Who's going to get it? Here we go. Slowly. I'm on the edge of my seat here. I don't know about everybody else. Got a couple of potential winners, I think, in the chat currently. A few people who are normally pretty good on these things. I don't think this one is too difficult, actually.
Lots of skulls. Is it something chaosy?
Someone's going to get it
chaos.
very soon.
It's either Belloc or the Warstone, maybe.
Someone's going to get it.
Half one.
The Herdstone.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I said the Warstone's close enough, isn't it?
Great miniature.
Stone, isn't it?
Oh, no one said it, so that means you win, Leigh.
Oh yes.
There you go. Headstone.
Wow, that's fantastic. That means Andy's going to be sending you some goodies.
I don't know if that's quite how it works. They could be like virtual, like non-tangible goodies, potentially.
Non-tangible.
Non-fungible.
Pride. I win some pride.
Okay, so I'm hesitant. I have reservations, but I'm going to hand over to Mr. Remington here for a game he's got planned that he's told me nothing about.
Right, quick
So we could
fire
be in
quiz,
trouble.
Lee. It's a quick fire game. It's called How Do You Fancy Your Chances?
Yeah.
So your Kharadron Overlords against the following. Do you think you've got a good chance of winning, or you don't know, or you've got a bad track record against them, and why? So let's start off. Your Kharadron Overlords versus Nighthaunt.
Average, because they ignore rend, but they've got bad saves to start with, so they can't benefit from stacking saves.
So
bad
win
place
some,
to
lose some. Win some, lose some.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Last time I
cool.
played them, I won. So
Okay. Skaven. Shooting them rats down.
I think bad because they can just have a lot of stuff. They can. It depends on the build. They could have like just so many bodies on the board that it could be bad.
Okay, noted. You're scared of rats. Flesh eater courts.
Good chance, I think. If I can kill the Terrorgeist, then it's okay.
So focus fire on the Terrorgeist, and then mop up the rest.
Yeah.
I like it. Nice. So that's positive. Hedonites of Slaanesh.
I think we're okay against them. I mean, I'm not sure what they're like at the moment because they keep changing them.
Have they got any flying units? Don't think they have they?
Really, it's with them. It's like, can you kill the heroes to stop them summoning? And then
Got you. Could you kill one of their greater demons? They look scary.
I don't know. Depends if they have a 3+ base save. Because if anything has a 3+ base save at the moment, it makes them hard to kill because they just stack saves and.
Got you. I've got you. There we go. Gloom Spike Gits.
I think that would probably be okay.
An easy win.
They're in a bad spot at the moment.
Yeah, I discovered that. I discovered that when I fought Andy's Stormcast a couple of weeks ago, and I got absolutely annihilated. So yeah, you're on the you'll be laughing then if you're in a tournament and I set up my Gloom Spike Gits.
I don't know if I'll be laughing because, as I just learned from last weekend, I'm not faring that well in tournaments at the moment.
Here's one for you. Ogre More Tribes.
Not sure. Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah. I don't think I'd fare that well against them.
No, is it their damage output and multiple wounds?
Yeah, lots of mortal wounds and they're going to be hard to kill as well, and they count as extra models and objectives.
Got you. Right. Let's. What about this one? Here's one. Sons of Behemat. How do you fare against the big bosses?
If it's 4 of them and one's got the Amulet of Destiny, then that's hard.
Amulet of Destiny, that's a 5 at warp save, right?
Yeah, which if it's on a 35 wound model, is a problem, isn't it?
And they're not going to run away either.
Yeah, KO, I don't think can kill one a turn anymore, which is what you need to do. You need to kill one Mega Gargant a turn, and if not, you know. But interestingly, like they almost auto win on power in numbers, that battle plan, because they can just run forwards, capture your opponent's objectives, and then turn 2 they just burn all the objectives on the board. But because KO can teleport to their side of the table, KO is actually one of the few armies that has a chance on that battle plan against them.
But yeah,
if it's Apex Predators, then it wouldn't stand a chance.
Now, can I put a little twist on this game? Instead of it being factions, now opponents. So first of all, I'm going to hit you with your comrade Max.
He would probably beat me. Probably.
Okay.
We played before on TTS. I've beaten him once, and then he's beaten me more than once before. And he's quite fond of saying one of the times he obliterated me. is the term he uses.
Okay, how about this one? Remington.
I don't know. I've no idea. Like, you've obviously been playing Warhammer a long time, but Andy, you make it sound like he's not very good, but I don't know. That's to lure me into a trap.
Listen, Leigh. Andy's actually got a great tournament record. You know, and I'm probably one of the only people in the country to beat him quite regularly. So yeah, I must be doing something
to be fair
wrong.
though, my great tournament records are in game systems that you've never played against me in. So I don't know if those two things can really be used as evidence alongside each other.
Okay, what about Daughters of Cain then? Because they're currently riding high, aren't they? So how do you fancy your chances against them ladies?
Average, I think. We can. Yeah, if I got like, because with the Warp Lightning Vortex, you can put some wounds on Marathi quite easily without having to dedicate shooting to her. And so if you can kill the snakes, the snake ladies with their bows or whatever they've got to shoot you before they shoot you, not too bad. But if it's like if it's Apex Predators and it is any missions, any army's hard to play against on that. So.
On the topic of Daughters of Cain, though, obviously that's one of Mr. Remington's armies. He doesn't have Marathi.
Mm-hmm.
People are telling him that he should have Marathi. Combine that with his Gotrek as well. Would you find that a tasty prospect, those two teaming up?
Oh, I wouldn't want to face it, I don't think. Not with both Marathi and Gotrek.
I think
have you ever had
he's
to
going to have
face
to do
a
it.
Gotrek?
I have. I've tried playing against Max with Gotrek once, and I thought, yeah, I can. Gotrek's not that tough. I'll kill him. That didn't work. I should have just ignored.
Ignore him is the thing to do.
Ignore him.
Right.
Yeah.
What's been your most satisfying? I'm not going to say victory, but most satisfying unit you've destroyed in a battle that you can recall. Was it a unit? Was it a monster? Was it a general? Was it a hero? Was it something? Even though you may have lost the battle, but you got the moral victory just because you got rid of this guy, you know?
I'm not sure really. That's a tough one because I don't know. Sometimes the things you want to kill, they die easier than you expect. So you start a game and you really want to kill them. And then it's a bit disappointing when you do because it's like, that shouldn't have been that easy. But
got you. Can you recall one of those moments?
I mean, most times when you shoot like a big monster and it dies, and it's almost like a bit of a, I don't know, an anticlimax. Because all they do is they just pull the model off, and that's it. It's not like there's this big epic scene. Maybe I should be imagining it in my head. There was the tournament I went to this weekend just gone. I played against my mate Dave in our last game, and he had a Mega Gargant that was a mercenary in his army.
Yeah.
And I managed to kill that by charging it with my Ironclad. Because I shot it, shot it with my whole army, it had 2 wounds left. So I charged my Ironclad into the battle round. That was quite cool.
So you basically impaled a giant with your skyship.
Yeah, I literally flew head first into the Gargant's head.
Kamikaze.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Fun.
I think that you and the rest of your comrades over at Aethercast are doing an excellent job squeezing all the possible juice out of what I consider to be a heavily neglected faction in Age of Sigmar. And is it a problem that they're neglecting these factions? I'm not entirely sure it is, but if you look at the likes of Fire Slayers, Kharadron Overlords, some of the other factions that popped up, a wave of releases, and then maybe they've had a hero being sprinkled in here and there over the following years. Maybe they've got some endless spells if they're really lucky. But it seems like it's the same kind of sales strategy that GW use in 40k, where it's constantly Space Marines and then occasionally they'll overhaul another faction every few years. Sometimes you'll go like 9 years without a new model even for one of the factions. But in 40k, that works because those model lines have been around for decades already. So they've already got an inbuilt backlog of stuff that you can put in your army that's already out there. Age of Sigmar is not that old a system, so the factions don't have that much of a presence on the shelf. Something like Kharadron Overlords, how many kits do they even have?
Kits, if you include the heroes, 3 small.
It's not going to be a lot over 10, is it, really?
Well,
Even with all the heroes.
I can tell you now. 19.
12. Oh, 19 is more than I thought.
Well, there's 19 different things you can buy on the website.
But do they list Sky Wardens and Engine Riggers separately?
They probably do.
Yeah.
And then when you hear that Stormcast with the latest War Scrolls, I believe it was like 78 of them. So Stormcasts are going to hit 100 War Scrolls before probably the Fire Slayers. I think they're the oldest of these factions I'm talking about, because they popped up pretty quick at the start of first edition, didn't they? They've barely had anything touching them since. They got endless spells, didn't they?
Yeah, sorry, we've got 14. Yeah, I've got 14 different ones.
Right.
Yeah, so not much. So other than just allying things in, how do you keep managing to squeeze more juice out of this faction?
Well, yeah, other than allying stuff in. I mean, it's funny because when you first said about the topic of the show, my first reaction was, Archaeo's not neglected. I didn't think. And then I started thinking about it more and I was like, oh, okay, maybe they are. And it feels like, I don't know, when they were definitely neglected at one point when we started the show, when we started Aethercast, because that was why we started it. Because
I mean, since you started the show, there's been another book, hasn't there? You're on your second book right now.
Yeah. So I guess I'm still riding high off of that a little bit, and we've had, as you mentioned, peppered releases like the odd hero that here and there, you know, and then some of them haven't even had War Scrolls, but they keep the excitement up a little bit. Other factions haven't even had that, have they?
No. What would you like to see, Leigh? If you had any thoughts about any new units you'd like to bring in?
Oh, yeah, this is a common topic discussed either on Facebook or on Aethercast occasionally as well. I would like some Grandstock Thunderers that are like melee dudes. So they have big like melee weapons that are based on like tools. So they're like a bit like Engine Riggers, but not flying. And they're like the guys that come in and do the heavy duty lifting when the Engine Riggers can't fix stuff. And so they've got things like a welding torch and a massive circular saw and a jackhammer. And they're just going to be a massive anvil that also sort of just, you know, blenders through things.
I'm thinking like the loader suit from Aliens.
Yeah.
But something, not just a dwarf on their own. It'd be a dwarf with some sort of machinery attached to them.
Yeah, either would be cool, really. But either they could either just be a dwarf with a massive thing, but it's not a weapon. You know, like it's a tool that they use as a weapon. Like because a circular saw, you wouldn't want to fight someone holding a circular saw, would you? But it's not a weapon, is it? Tool. So yeah, so a load of stuff like that, two-handed big old things, but like some guys in armored mech suits would also be cool.
How do you feel about really small one dwarf like fighter ships, like smaller than a gun hauler?
Yeah, they would be cool. And if they were in like attack squadrons, like little groups of 3 or whatever, and they could do like strafing runs, that would be really fun.
You could give them a couple of different build options quite easily in there.
If it looked like biplanes, it looked good, wouldn't they? Because like the dwarf ships look a bit like zeppelins, I suppose. So
yeah,
if you're going with that theme, why not have like little biplane like dwarves ships? That could work. There was an old rare unreleased Marauder miniature model from like 80s or early 90s, and it was an alpine dwarf. And these miniatures go for a lot of money now because they're never officially released. But what about some, you know, dwarf skiers? So they come off their ships and they ski down and they got guns and.
It's like the James Bond film where they parachute down and then they ski down the mountain.
Yeah, man. What do you think?
I'm not sure how practical they were. I really like the idea of like, because that's like putting things on the feet of dwarves. I've always thought dwarves with stilts would be fun.
Yes, we had that with the Chaos Dwarves. There's a dwarf character who's sort of on stilts.
What about springs?
Yeah, their legs turn to stone.
Springs are like go-go gadget arms for punching
Yeah.
at a 3-inch range instead of 1 inch.
Yeah, those would be fun. Yeah, there's some cool ideas.
Maybe they don't have any new ideas. Maybe they're just out of ideas for them, right?
I don't think that can be true.
I know, well, not for a fact. I know on good authority there is some stuff coming at the end of next year. And it's not KO, but there's going to be a mixed Dwarven book, and there's going to be Grungy's dwarfs, and they are clockwork dwarfs.
Ooh.
And I don't know much more than that really, but I imagine them then being like sort of robotic. And they're like he's got old Dwarven souls from the old world and put them in and sort of forged them into things.
Those do sound like they would make much more natural allies for the Kharadron Overlords than the Fire Slayers do aesthetically.
Yeah, like they sound like the main reason I haven't got allies of Fire Slayers is because I can't really decide on how I'd want to convert them and stuff to fit aesthetically alongside the KO.
Other than just painting them in red and like painting flames on them like on the side of a motorbike.
Yeah, like so yeah, I think it's weird because they sound very similar to KO because it sounds kind of steampunky. But it's I don't know how they're going to keep it distinct.
It also sounds an awful lot like the range from, I think it's Titan Forge. We've got some like clockwork dwarves, and they have airships as well.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, man. They look good.
Yeah, I've seen them. I was looking at some pictures, trying to get I like imagine what I thought it could be, and looking, just randomly Google searching things, and come across them. They're pretty cool.
So Leigh, let's suppose they don't bring out any new models. What if you could get them to bring out some Kharadron Overlords scenery?
Wow.
What would you like to see?
I mean, there's kind of already an unofficial piece. Are you familiar with Dark Fantastic Mills?
No.
They're like they 3D print stuff and sell it. They've made like a skyport or like a mini skyport, which is really cool.
And it's to scale.
Yeah, it's not like a full city. It's like more like an outposty type thing. Because you couldn't do a full city, could you? It would be massive.
No, I'd love to see a picture of that. Yeah.
Well, I haven't built and painted mine. Well, I say built, it's like 3D printed, so it's already sort of, you don't have to put together bits. I mean, this is part of it.
Look at this, we're getting an exclusive here on the Andy and Rem show.
And then it has, I don't know, it's got like 3 columns and like platforms, and it has like a big.
Nice.
I mean, if you Google it, Fantastic Mills, and you'll be able to find it.
So
pretty cool.
Wayne says, first of all, that he has just dropped a subscribe on Aethercast. So there you go.
Cool.
You've been pushed into the stratosphere with this appearance. But he also says, how popular are the Kharadron Overlords? Are there a lot of people playing them, buying them?
Not sure. I mean, they're more popular than some factions. They're not. Depends on the scene. I think a lot of people start them and give up on them. I don't know if other factions. That probably happens with a lot of factions, doesn't it? But I don't know. The tournament I just went to.
Andy started them and gave up on them.
But I'm back in the saddle now, so it's all good.
Yeah, the tournament I just went to, there was 4 of us. out of 100. So that's not a massive amount, but considering that they're not in a good place rules-wise at the moment, then that's probably like it's more than some factions, isn't it?
I tend to see them represented whenever I see a list of players at a tournament. There's usually at least a couple of them in there. So not like some factions that you just don't see at all, because I think Kharadron Overlords have been strong at various points, haven't they, tournament-wise? And at the moment, there's a few unclear rules, aren't there, at the moment? So people end up playing them differently from tournament to tournament, so I can understand that would put some people off.
Yeah, the thing with getting in and out of the ships is we need an FAQ from Games Workshop on that. Clarify how it works. It does seem to be like the bigger tournaments are all going one particular way, and then it's a few smaller tournaments that are going different ways. Like there's starting to be some consistency on how tournaments are ruling it, which is, you know, not a good way for KO.
You've got all these dwarves, and they're in the ships, and the ships are flying them around, teleporting them here and there. Now, if my, if my new model I've got here, this big beast skewer killbow, manages to shoot you when your gun hauler's down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't all the guys inside get destroyed?
Well, there's not many guys normally in a gun hauler because they can't carry guys unless.
Okay, but all right, annoying fact,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, yeah, I knew what you meant. So what we do is you roll a dice for every model, and on a 1 they die, and on anything else, then you set them up next to the ship before you take it off, and it's like they just like jump out, like before it blows up.
It's not that much peril, really.
No, but it's because it's per model. And you have to like declare it like, yeah, I did lose a hero at the weekend. I rolled a 1 for it, and then it's, you know, you lose, that's a big deal.
It will happen if you're transporting heroes around in there, but generally don't factor it in too much, do you? With it just being a 1 in 6 chance, you can't base your strategy on that.
No, I mean the worst thing is if someone surrounds the ship. If someone surrounds the ship and kills the ship, then you can't set them up because you have to be 3 inches away from enemy models. Which is very easy for them, like wholly within 3 inches of where the ship was, and 3 inches from enemy models. That's quite a small area. Sometimes they don't have to completely get around the ship to stop you doing that.
And thematically, it does kind of make sense as well, doesn't it? Because you can imagine the ship's on fire going down, and people are like scrambling out of the porthole and being cut down as they try and flee. That's kind of cool.
Basically. So yeah, there is some risk involved to being in them ships.
So who won this tournament that you've fought in recently?
Not me.
What faction?
It was Seraphon. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was it might be Michael Stewart. I think that was his name. He was playing Seraphon.
What did they win? Did they win a prize?
They won this like leather helmet thing that was made by that had like horns, and it was pretty fancy. It's like, rather than like a little plastic trophy or something. Quite cool.
I've been to a few tournaments where they give away helmets and swords and all kinds of ridiculous things, which is all very well, but probably not great for international competitors trying to get onto a plane with a huge sword afterwards.
Yeah, all of the prizes this tournament were leather, like made like by some like I don't know, artisan leather company. They had like these wrist braces type things.
All right.
For there was one for each faction, like order, destruction, and stuff, with like a symbol for the Grand Alliance on and stuff.
No expenses spared. Cool. Much like on this show, where we gave away tiny golden weasel trophies for a painting competition. So probably similar kind of budget to the prize pool for that event, I would suggest. Now,
I would like to see a picture of what a golden weasel trophy looks like.
There's probably a picture floating around somewhere, but I will try to find that and I'll post it somewhere on social media tonight. Because they were sent out a few years ago. I'm sure Rem remembers the Golden Weasel Awards.
Yes.
There was alternative painting awards, so instead of just like best single miniature, it would be like best beard.
Okay, cool.
So they were a bit interesting. Now, I believe Mr. Remington was going to play us a song at some point. about Kharadron Overlords or about beards or the Dwarden folk in general, and I can see he's got a guitar in the background. So while he's plotting that, before we wrap this one up, would you like to plug the Aethercast a bit and tell people what they can expect if they hit subscribe on that channel?
Yeah. So we're Kharadron Overlords dedicated channel and podcast. We do semi-regular videos, depending on commitments, life commitments. So sometimes they're weekly, sometimes it's every other week, and we talk about the news of what's happened in Warhammer recently. We look at competitive lists that have been taken to tournaments. We look at the different skyports. We talk about all sorts of things. We try and do videos for new players and for people that have been playing for a longer time as well. So, and it's mostly just like if you're playing Kharadron Overlords or you're building and painting a Kharadron Overlords army, you've got content there you're interested in, as opposed to whatever the flavour of the week is, because that's what a lot of other channels do. It's whatever's new, that's what they're talking about, and if you don't want to hear about that thing, you don't have a place to go to. But if you've got KO, then you do have somewhere to go to. It's us.
That is true.
Yeah.
If you play Kharadron Overlords, you will always have a home.
Yeah. And there's also some Stormcast guys doing it now as well. So I'd like to think, I don't know if they know about Aethercast. I'd like to think we inspired them, and hopefully there'll be at some point soon like a channel or a podcast for every faction. That'd be really cool.
You would hope. Although, if Remington starts doing the Gloomspite Gits cast, that might help their tournament chances with his in-depth tactical insight.
You could speak to Nathan from the Honest Wargamer. You could co-host it with him. I'm sure a lot of people would watch that. The Nathan and Remington Gloomspite show.
That could be cool. Yeah, I've not met Nathan, but I've met his co-host. So yeah, that could work. I might reach out. But I wouldn't say I was any kind of expert. I love painting armies, but it's I haven't had time to get them on the field as much as I want.
When we've got you to a tournament at some point, then you'll be ready and you can launch the Git cast.
I think what I've learned is you don't need to be an expert. You just get expert guests on that make you sound smart.
Well, it's definitely we're helped tonight. So thanks for coming on the show.
Has been an emotional rollercoaster of excitement this episode. So I'm going to bring up the episode thumbnail now, so people can look at my full Photoshop work. It takes me many hours, so I'm going to make sure that I get my time's worth out of it. Mr. Rem, would you like to give us a bit of a Kharadron Overlords ditty?
Not really. No.
Well, too bad. Start thinking of one while I thank everybody watching. Decent number of live viewers tonight. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description, including Aethercast. If it's not linked in there right now, then it will be at some point. And also, if you enjoy the top-notch spicy content on this channel, then don't forget to visit all the various fundraising sources and thrust money towards this channel to keep it afloat, to guide you out of the troubled waters and into hobby enlightenment. So, thanks to Admiral Leigh himself for joining us tonight. And Mr. Remington, would you like to play us out?
Yeah, quick question. Tell me one of these Skyfleet factions, what they're called.
Barrack Zilfin.
Barrack Zilfin. What rhymes with that?
There's also Barrack Nar.
That's good. Barrack Nar. Here we go. Oh, I'm a Kharadron Overlord. I come from Barrack Nar. I'm a Overlord. And we say, when the Gloomspite kids, they come on down, we like to shoot them up. The Gloomspite kids are always around, but Remington's here, so we better give up.
Brilliant. That was far better than I was expecting, considering you were given like 2 like 10 seconds to think of it.
That was horrible, man. Don't subject me to stuff like that, Andy,
Top
ever
notch.
again.
Well, folks,
We're supposed to get
on
the
that
guests
note,
to sing.
On that note, all that remains to be said is good night out there, whatever you are.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on your screens tonight. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. We're talking about Age of Sigmar and anything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer fantasy, it's easy to love.